Hi, I'm Susan Wood with the Utah League of Cities and Towns at the Utah State Capitol, where the first week of the 2013 legislative session has just wrapped up. What are the hot issues this year? What are the issues facing Utah cities and towns? We have a resident expert here to answer those questions. Lincoln Schertz, also with the Utah League of Cities and Towns.
Some of the things we're focusing on this year, obviously billboards is going to be another big battle this year between the billboard and sign industry and local governments on regulation of those billboards. Water is another big issue, and just how cities get water out of an agricultural use into municipal and industrial use for additional development in their communities. So those are really two big issues. In addition, based on the fire season last year, we're having a lot of discussions dealing with the fireworks regulation issue and what sort of regulatory powers local governments have to regulate those fireworks.
Fireworks has always sparked controversy, especially the last fire year. What changes are being proposed?
The pieces that affect local government will deal with where cities can regulate fireworks and the discharge of those fireworks. So last year there was an immense amount of confusion as to whether or not cities could even regulate the discharge of fireworks, and then if they could, where they could actually limit discharge areas. This year we're clarifying that we do have the ability to regulate discharge, and in addition to that, it gives us specific examples of where and how we regulate the discharge of those fireworks.
Billboards, we always hear about it. Any big changes on the table?
There's going to be two big competing bills this year. The billboard industry is running a bill to essentially allow them to convert to digital face images on all their signs at will without any city regulation, and local governments have a bill competing, running in the different direction, essentially allowing local governments greater regulatory power over billboards and how they operate.
That's different than last year.
Last year we were operating with one bill and trying to compromise on that bill, recognizing that that didn't go very well and nothing got passed last session. I think both sides decided to run their own legislation and see how that plays out.
Water has been an issue since our grandparents were here in Utah. What do you expect to see on the table this year?
On the water side, I think what we're hoping for is more clarity in how cities and towns can convert water into their municipal systems and actually create that water for a municipal purpose. So running the taps and flushing the toilets. There has been some confusion of the role of the state engineer in approving water rights that cities bring forward to his office for review and application. This gives some provisions that allow local governments a couple different options as to how they can bring a water right before the state engineer for approval and introduction into the municipal system. Obviously the budget's already taking center stage. There has been an immense amount of discussion already on Medicaid reform and what's going on with the expansion of Medicaid, especially with the introduction of the Affordable Care Act. The Federal Affordable Care Act is really driving a lot of discussions up here this year. So a lot of the issues that typically get a ton of press haven't been getting as much press and have really taken a back seat to the Affordable Care Act issues.
In your opinion, do you detect any sort of a different tone with the turnover and lawmakers this year?
It's tough to tell. We're 5 days into the session, so there's still plenty of session to be had, and most of the tension usually happens toward the end. So at this point it seems very collegial and kind of par for the course for 5 days into the session.
All right, thank you, Lincoln. We're going to have a wrap-up every week about how the 2013 legislative session is going to affect you and your communities. Just look for our website, www.ulct.org. I'm Susan Wood for the Utah League of Cities and Towns.